Right now is the parting segment of what I'm doing for this hairstyle, and I am not good at parting, and I don't have the proper mirror to do it. Like I would need a three-way mirror. That would be so ideal to have the, you know, the braider's three-way mirror, so that I could actually see. So parting for me takes a long time. I wanted nice parts. If I want nice parts, someone else is gonna have to do them for me because it's not gonna come from me. So far, I have made my like 3 braids. That's all I have, and they look so tiny, and it's because I just have fine hair, so like it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, if I want to make them look thick, I'd have to use so much. I'd have to make such bigger parts to make them thicker. But anyway, so I've been able to install 3 braids. I don't know what they look like. I don't know if they're straight. I don't know if one of them is laid into the side or not. That's what I have right now. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep going. I'm not trying to do this all night. I'm really not. I'm gonna get to a point and I'm gonna stop and call it quits because, again, I am not trying to put these little tiny braids in my head for the entire night. So, yeah. Okay, so first row is done. Now I need to move on to the second row. Only problem is the second row that I parted is too small. So now I have to repart the second row based on the first row, which has like larger squares. And I don't want to have like squares and then little like rectangles and then squares because that would just look really weird. So now I have to do the difficult task of reparting my head for the second row, and I just wish someone else. It's fine. I got it. All right, so I just finished the second row. Took a little break, so just finished the second row. It is now 12:17 a.m. and I'm just gonna check and make sure that they look good. I mean, honestly, the part is crooked, to be expected, because I can't really see that well. It's really hard to hold a mirror and part your hair. It's literally like going up on a slant like that. But it's still neat though. Like, it's crooked, but it's neat. And the boxes actually look pretty good. The boxes are pretty neat. So, first row has 3, and the second row has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Has 5 braids on it. So this is where we at so far. I'm gonna try to make a third row. Okie dokie. Parting gods, be with me. Okay, so I just completed my third row. I'm going real slow, y'all, because now it's 1:20 in the morning. I do take a break after I complete a row. I'll take a break because I ain't trying to be out here back on fire, feet on fire, you know. Anyway, but I'm just gonna check and make sure these braids actually look okay. Again, the part is on a slant. So the second row goes like this. The part is going like this. In the third row, the part is going like this. So it actually evens out. You can't tell. Even though the part is on a slant, it's still clean. And then the boxes that the braids are in are clean. And I'm trying to make sure I do the brick lay so that I don't look like a bald head skedaddle out here with like no hair falling in between the open parts. Taking the time out to part your hair correctly and braid it correctly so that you have a really good foundation is extremely important if you want your hair to actually turn out to look good. So, onward. Hello and good afternoon. I slept in a lot, so this is where I left off last night. I actually stayed up until like 4 or something in the morning doing my hair just because I wanted to map out more of what I was going to do on the sides of my hair, because the front of my hair is actually the hardest. It's actually the most difficult part of my hair just because of how my hairline is set up. So my hairline is actually what makes my hair look old a week after having a hairstyle. So I just wanted to make sure that I knew exactly how I wanted to do it so that it stayed fresher looking longer. I left off the night with 21 braids so far, and I'm supposed to get to 54. And I really hope I get to 54 because I don't want it to look skimpy, because like I don't want it to look thin like these braids. So I'm really hoping that I'm able to get to 54 so that it can be a full looking hairstyle. So what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to just mirror what I did on this side just to kind of help myself out, and it'll actually help filling this area here. So that's what's up next. Okay, just checking in 50 years later. It is now 2:36. I think I checked in at like 1 something. I don't remember. But anyway, so I literally just finished this side of my, like this side right here, because I was mirroring this side. Apparently it's a funhouse mirror because it is not exactly the same on either side. This side has, when I did this section right here, there are only 4 braids. 2 rows, 4 braids, 2 in each row. On this side, because either of my parting skills or because of how my hair grows on this side of my head, I ended up with 3 rows, same size section, but 3 rows, and there are 7 braids on this side, so 4 on this side and 7 on this side. But it's super neat. Everything looks really clean. It's flat, which is exactly how I wanted it. And also the parts still line up. So these 2 sections still line up perfectly. So it's not like, you know, there's 2 over here and this part's here and there's three rows over here and this part's all the way up here. It's perfectly aligned. So as the hair lays down, you won't even be able to notice a difference, that there is a discretion in how many braids are on either side. So that's fantastic. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to get back to working on this section up here, the top of my head. Not looking forward to it because I have a really hard, obviously, most people do, I have a really hard time parting the top and back of my head because we don't have eyes back there. And I don't have a special mirror so that I can actually see it. So we'll see how long that takes. Hopefully not too long. But again, I'm happy with how it's coming out. Everything's laying flat. I'm using using Murphy's beeswax because that's what I have, and I know most people use, like, you know, shine and jam and braiding gel and edge control and all that to make their parts really neat. But it's not even necessarily that I'm trying to make my parts neat. I'm literally trying to make the squares really neat, and I'm trying to get all my flyaways because I naturally have very, very frizzy hair, and I have a ton of little tiny hairs. Like, I'm guessing it's the new hairs. I hope it's not broken hair. But I have a bunch of little tiny hairs that are just very wiry and wild on my scalp, so that are like closer to the base of my braids. So I use the beeswax to get those all into one braid, and then so that everything's neat and there's no flyaways. So let's get back to sectioning and braiding this top section. All right, y'all, so now it is 4:35. So this is where we are so far. I've gotten up to row 5, I believe that's row 5. I think that's row 5. I'm a little concerned about these 2 at the top because they're sticking up kind of weird, and that's just because of how I braided. But I'm thinking that over time, like as I sleep and like tie my hair up, that they'll actually flatten at the base. So I'm just gonna have faith because I am not rebraiding those. So now I have literally finished the back of my head, so now all I have is just the top section of my head, and I can actually see, because I can see this part right here from the mirror, so there's no more struggle parting going on. However, I'm still not amazing at parting, so just because I can see what I'm doing does not mean it's going to turn out well. That's the sad part. I'll actually count how many braids I have so far before we get started, because then that'll help me know how many I need to actually make, because I'm supposed to have 54. I do have a small head, so that may not work out. I may not be able to literally even have 54 of the braids on my head. They might be like super small, like, you know, like this, and I don't want them to be super small because I need the base to be robust enough so that it can handle the weight of the install of the hairstyle. So, because that's actually been an issue for me in the past. Okay, so let's count. I have 37 braids in total. Again, I have to get to 54. Let's proceed. All right, and we're back. This is how far I've gotten so far. It is now 6:17. I have an online meeting in 13 minutes. Nope, now 12 minutes. Obviously, I am not going to finish, but this is how far I got. I have completely finished the left front part of my head, and now I just have the right front part of my head to do. That will get done after the meeting. And I'm going to go ahead and actually count my braids because I don't know how many I have. At 45. I only have to make 9 more braids, and then I'll hit my 54 goal. So this is what it looks like. Anyway, I'm gonna pause for now. Alright y'all, so I got to talking on the phone and I totally forgot that I was supposed to come back and show the last braid. It's done, but what I will do is go ahead and count how many I have, because I'm thinking that I want to split this braid because it's kind of big. It's like, I think it's actually the biggest braid that I have, and I think I want to break it up or split it because it'll help with the quota I'm supposed to have. So let's count and see how many we have first. 54. I did not do that on purpose. I promise you I was not counting as I was making the braids. I didn't count them until after I made the braid. But yeah, so I'm done. I'm happy I'm done, and it's not midnight yet. Because I thought I was going to be braiding until midnight, but I'm not. I'm done. No, it's not Cousin Skeeter. It is I. I am back. I've completed most of step 2. I left one braid out to kind of demonstrate what exactly I did to achieve this. And I know in the last clip I was talking about that one braid that was in the back of my head. I ended up splitting it in half and making 2 braids out of it, and I think that's going to work way better. It's actually this right here used to be the one chunky braid. So what I've been doing is each braid that I go through, I look at it. I've actually been trimming my ends as I go through, just because we don't want to put away, we don't want to put in a protective style or install any style without attending to our hair and the health of our hair. So this gotta go because it looks terrible. I was gonna let it go. I was literally gonna let it go. I was gonna just put the hairstyle in and be like, when I take it out, I will get a trim. I can't. I have to trim it off now because it's just bugging me. It looks so bad. And then I go through and I trim off any wiry pieces that are sticking out of the braid, just for good measure. And be careful when you do this because you could end up doing this. Luckily, it's a very small section of hair that I cut, but I cut a good amount of hair off by accident. So at least that section has absolutely no split ends because, after you do your trim, I've been using the Camille Rose Honey Hydrate as my hydration. I'm literally just taking that and putting it down the length of the braid just because I have a really hard time keeping my hair hydrated. I have naturally very dry hair, and to be completely honest, I have a really bad habit of putting in a protective hairstyle and then just leaving it. I don't do anything with my hair. I do not hydrate it. I don't oil my scalp. I don't do anything. It's basically neglect, and it's bad because I take my hair down. I have the nerve to take my hair down, comb through and detangle it, and be like, oh my god, why is my hair breaking off? I just gotta trim before I put the hairstyle in. But girl, you need to hydrate your hair. You gotta take care of it, even though it's in the protective style. What's it protecting? It's protecting it from moisture because you're not putting any moisture in it. Now we're gonna go ahead and do the little, I don't know, like the person who first did a demo of this hairstyle, they called it Bantu knots. These do not look like Bantu knots to me. They just look like Cousin Skeeter. So we're gonna take this, and I should probably make it the same length as the one that's next to it, otherwise it will look very strange. So we'll do, let's see, measure it's like right there. You're gonna loop it around your finger. See, loop around your finger. Okay, and then that will be how long this little loop will be. And then you're going to take it and literally just going to wrap it. Okay? You're wrapping it around itself. And try to move up and down the length of the braid as you're going, because you want it to be an equal width. You don't want the hair to be super thick at the base or super thick at the tail of it, just because this is going to affect how thick your lock is going to be. So towards the end, see how I'm getting to the end? Towards the end, you're going to work your way back down to where your finger is, where it's looped through. Oh, I have the tail end of it in between my fingers. I'm going to take a rubber band that it has been soaking in oil, and I'm going to wrap it around where the end of the hair is.
So just wrap around near the base of the loop to keep that hair, because my hair is too straight. Had I done this on my natural hair, it would have been able to actually wrap and interlock on itself. But because my hair is blown out, it's too, the texture is gone, so it doesn't allow for it to stick to itself, which I wish it would, because that would be great. I don't like using rubber bands on my hair, so that would be great if I could do that. But anywhoosie, so this is what we have. They're not exactly the same length, but that's okay. So now we're done. We have all of our little loops going on for the base of the hairstyle, and this is step 2. So yeah, that's what I have for today, and I will check back in. So we're back. I have made some headway, and I have figured out the routine that works for me. So I have 1, 2, and 3. This one I just missed. Little loopies left. So let me show you what I've been doing to make this process work for me. So I have been taking this hair here. I think it's like it's just a softer version of Marley hair. It's not as kinky, it's a little bit, it's like the blown out version of it basically. First I bend it in half, cut it, and then take those 2 pieces, fold them over in half. So you're making fourths. So you go from a whole to a half to fourths. You cut it again. Okay. Separate those pieces so that they're easy to get to. So this is what I've been doing. Instead of taking the braiding hair and braiding from the root all the way past the little loop, I've actually just been taking the shortcut and just going straight to the loop. It just makes more sense to me to do that. And I've been able to do that, and my locks haven't turned out too thin, because that's the whole point of the braiding hair, is to make the braid thicker so that the lock isn't super thin. But I actually haven't had that issue. So it's looped through, and you're going to twist it. There we go. I'm just going to cut off the excess. There we go. So it looks like this. So it looks like an extended kind of base for the lock. Again, take your little loop. The crochet hook is already open. Okay, this is what it looks like closed, and this is what it looks like open. You're going to take this already open, you're going to slide it through the loop of the hair, and then you're going to attach the hair onto the crochet hook. You're going to close the latch, the crochet hook, and you're just going to slide it through. Not all the way. You're going to get to this point. That's where you split it in half. See? Just like that. And then you're going to go ahead and twist it just like we did before. That's basically it. That's how you make the base for where you attach the extension hair, which is on this part. So I'll come back with that in a moment. So we're back, and a lot has happened.
basically I was able to attach all of the tracks to all of the extension, the twisted hair extensions, and now I'm just installing the last two locks. Last night I actually ran out of hair, so this afternoon I had to go pick up some more hair, and so I'm just happy to be down to the last two. Alright, and then what you're supposed to do, what people usually do, is they take the shorter part and they wrap it down here onto, they add it to the actual hair and extension, and then they start wrapping. So yeah, you take it, you wrap it, you gather it together like this. You wrap the base a couple times, well, more than a couple. Some people say 4 to 5. I'd say if you do it at least 3 times, you should be good. Try not to do it too tight, because that'll result in your locks being too tight on the base and it'll put too much pressure on your actual hair follicle, but also it'll cause you to look like a tarantula, so your locks will be sticking up instead of relaxing, laying down. The magical beauty of this hair is that, the wrapping hair that is that you just wrap it and it just sticks on itself. That's the beautiful thing about the texture. I didn't use any nail glue. I know people usually like roll it. I don't even do that. It just sticks. It's like Velcro. So we're gonna move on to the last one. Just right here, and I'm so excited to be done. So we've got our hair sectioned out, all stretched out. Take a latch hook and slip it underneath the base of the braid. And it's open. The latch hook is already open. Having it open actually prevents the latch hook, like the actual closure piece, from getting stuck in your hair as you're pushing it through the base. So having it open makes it so much easier. Then you're going to put the hair in the open latch hook. You're going to actually close the latch hook and you're going to slide it back under. There you go. One time. I still haven't figured out how to do this. I did my whole head and I have not concluded how to do this comfortably yet. That's 2 times. And then be sure to check to make sure you're not pulling in any other hairs from other sections. You want to make sure that there's not any flyaways coming in, no other extension hair. You want to make sure that your hair isn't getting stuck into the lock, just because it can cause pain and breakage. Okay, so that's, I believe, 3 times, and I'm going to do one more time. So 4 times. All right. That feels nice and secure. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut off this little piece right here, the little short piece. Doing your own hair is a skill like no other, I swear. Doing a hairstyle you've never done before, Jesus Christ. I know one thing. Once I have this done, I'm going to feel really accomplished, because this is not easy, and it's very time consuming. And I've literally never done locks before, so it's a huge learning lesson for me. Hello. I come to you with finally completed hair. I realized that, because I kind of watched the previous clip back, and I realized that footage may or may not be usable, just because like all of this is cut off, so you can't really see what I'm doing. I guess just some things to, like, some quick tips and notes. Number 1, set aside a lot of time to do this hairstyle, okay? I am not a professional hairstylist at all. I have never done locks. I had never had locks, so I was unfamiliar with the physical feeling of installing them. And in the tutorial that I watched, I believe her name is Caryn Prince or Caryn Price? Caryn Prince, I believe. She said that this hairstyle is time consuming, and I appreciate her saying that, because this hairstyle is very time consuming to install. And if you take your time and install it correctly, it should actually last a while, just because your hair, it shouldn't pop out anywhere because it's completely covered by the extension hair. Just keep your scalp clean and healthy, and you should be good. Another thing too, if you do plan to install this hairstyle, make sure that you have a plan in place. Make sure that you give yourself not enough hours, but enough days. I do not recommend sitting down and doing this all in one day. I really don't. Unless you're a hairstylist and you know I can knock that out quick, fine. This is if you're doing it on yourself. If you're doing it on someone else, it will be a little bit different. It'll probably go a lot faster because you can actually see what you're doing. But have a plan. You know, give yourself a couple of days. If there's a 3-day weekend coming up, take advantage of it. Do the hair then. You know, do it on the weekend. If you have a couple off days coming up, you know, do it then. But I do not recommend sitting down for an entire day and trying to do it, just because your body will get so tired because there's just so many steps. First, you have to part your hair. Then you have to braid your hair. Then you have to loop your hair to make the base. If you have longer hair, if you have shorter hair, then you can skip that whole step. But you know, then you have to loop the hair to make the tiny little loops around your head. And then after that, you have to add the braiding hair to extend the loop. And then you have to glue on or attach the tracks to the extension. And then you have to wrap everything all together. It is time consuming and there's a lot of steps. So I would say make sure you know that going in. Make sure that you give yourself breaks. When you start to get tired, stop. Give yourself a break because you don't want to mess up the hairstyle. Messing up a braid or a twist is easy. All you have to do is undo that braid and re-braid it, or undo that twist and retwist it. Messing up a lock or messing up this, if you glue it on wrong, or if you didn't quite do your base right, the loop of the base right, and it's all like, you know, chunky and the ends of your hair aren't nicely wrapped around it, but it's actually like sticking out. It makes things harder. So just make sure that you give yourself time, that you have the energy to do it, and that you have a plan going forward, and that you are very aware that you know this is going to take some time. And today is Thursday. It took me nearly a week to finish, like to do this hairstyle from wash to completely installed. Nearly a week. Granted, I gave myself time, and also there was a day where I didn't do anything to my hair because I was out and about in public. Moving on. I will say, do not wrap your locks too tight on the base. Okay? Don't do that. It will cause discomfort, especially when you're trying to maneuver them out of the way to just complete the hairstyle. When you try to lay down and go to sleep, when you try to pull them back out of your face, it will cause discomfort. It will loosen up as your hair grows out over time, but do you really want to wait that long? So be careful about wrapping it too tight on the base. And you'll know, before you continue wrapping all the way down, you'll know that you're doing it too tight, because once you start wrapping 2 or 3 times and you feel it kind of pulling and it's getting kind of taut down there on your roots, take that back. You know, unwrap that a little bit. Give yourself some grace. Do not let your hairstyle shouldn't be painful. Hairstyles should not be painful at all. They can be secure, they can be neat, they can be tidy, they can be well installed, but they should not be painful. So just be careful about that. Oh, I guess I can tell you. So I have 55 locks in total, and the original hairstyle called for 54, but I ended up, because I have weird parting, I ended up splitting one of my braids in the back because it just was too big, and I'm pretty sure had I not split it, it just would have been this big old tree trunk sitting in the back of my head with some hair hanging off the back, and it just would not look cute. So I went ahead and split that in half, and in my opinion it worked out really well. I did not run out of any extension hair. I still have a little bit of hair left. I have about like this much of a weft left. The hair that I use is actually old hair that I wore like a couple years ago from a sew-in. And let me tell you, it did not look this full the first time I wore it. Obviously, it didn't look this long because, you know, the hair is down here rather than up on my scalp. So it extends the hair. But if I can remember the original length, I think the original length of the hair was like 20 inches. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like 20 inches was the original length. It was 3 bundles of 20, and then I think an 18-inch lace closure. So that's what the hair originally was. I wore it a couple years ago. I took it out of my head after having it in for a few months and threw it in a grocery bag and shoved it in my storage until I figured out what I wanted to do with it, because I knew I didn't want to throw it away. Yes, it was definitely ready to come out my head. It was tangling, it was matting. The ends were beat up, but I knew that I could possibly use the hair again. I just didn't know how. So when I saw this hairstyle come across YouTube, I was like, I need to do that. That is perfect. That is perfect for that hair, because as I said, this is the last time I'm going to be wearing this hair, because it is inexpensive. It is 100% human hair, but it is inexpensive hair. It was on its last leg the last time I took it out. So a lot of ends need to be cut just to prevent that tangling and that matting. I do want to shout out the way that I installed the hair. A little bit different combinations of what other people did. Some of it I actually came up with on my own, and some people I was like, that is a great idea. I want to do that too. That's an easier way for me to do that. The original hairstyle is inspired by Glo Locs. Glo Locs, and I believe her video came from TikTok, and Caryn Prince, I'm so sorry girl, actually references her and gave us a tutorial on how to do it, and then a couple other people also followed her tutorial and did it their way. Not everyone hasn't done it the exact same way, so I recommend following everyone's tutorial, and I'll actually link them down below, just because I feel like just because I do it one way doesn't mean that it'll work for you. Just like the way the other people did it, they did it their way, but it didn't exactly work for me. So I would say watch as many videos as possible to gather as much data as possible so that you can make an informed decision on how you want to attack the hairstyle. Another thing I want to say is make sure you wash all of the hair that you use. Make sure you wash the hair that you use to extend your hair. Make sure you wash the actual, the track hair, the human hair. Make sure you wash the hair you use to wrap to make the lock. Clean all of it. Make sure everything is clean. You don't want to use dirty hair. You don't want to use the hair, even if it's fresh out the pack, wash it. You don't know what's on that hair. I forgot the rest of the wrap hair. This hair, I came back home and I soaked it in vinegar and not hot, but really, really warm water. And I soaked it for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Almost immediately, the alkaline coating that they put on the hair, it's just started coming straight off the hair. And I've never seen that happen that fast. And I've never seen so much come off. Make sure you clean that hair, soak it in the synthetic hair, soak it in apple cider vinegar. I use distilled, but soak it in apple cider vinegar to get that off of there, and then wash it with soap afterwards. I use dish soap just to make sure it was squeaky clean. Make sure you clean that hair. You don't want to put that on your hair. You don't want that touching your skin, because right now I can feel the lock. It is rubbing all over my neck, okay? And I'm not gonna lie, it's itchy, okay? This hair is itchy. If you have sensitive skin, be warned, because it's itchy. Not to the point where I'm losing my mind, but every time I move, I am aware that it's there. I'm aware that it's on my neck, but it's not bad enough where I need to just be like, oh my god, get it out of my head. So I'm good with that. And also the way that I installed it, the lock hair, how I crocheted it underneath the base of my braid, I can feel it on my scalp. I can feel the hair touching my scalp. So it's not a horrible feeling, but if you have sensitive skin, please be warned that this may not be the hairstyle for you, or just look for hair that's soft enough, because I used this type of hair for the lock, but maybe a hair that's a little bit more loosely coiled. I know people use different types of hair to make a lock, so a little bit more loosely coiled and slightly softer, maybe that might be better for people with sensitive skin. Or people with like even sensory sensitivity, because you don't even have to have sensitive skin. If you have sensory sensitivity, this will drive you nuts. Because some people, they don't have sensitive skin, but they hate the way hair feels on them. So it's a sensory thing. So yeah, just be warned. I do want to say thank you for watching. I really hope this was helpful to somebody. Check the description box below for other videos and tutorials from other people who helped me. And thank you again for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a great day and good luck. Give yourself time. Take care. Bye.